one of the important things in my book is that it's not about what the threats are, it's about how they are perceived. And I think that especially with the word post-truth being the word of the year, it's also very important to study how people perceive phenomena, not just what they are. And as you quoted before, that truth is the only hero. But unfortunately, truth right now is not the hero. Right now, it's important to study how people perceive things, how they feel, what is the emotional response to a certain narrative. This is unfortunately the primary focus of investigation, because this is how politicians get their job done. This is, if they try to create a certain emotional response, you need to be able to deconstruct it and see how it is pushing certain buttons in you. Why is it pushing certain buttons? And I think this is why my book is also important. A lot of people are just talking about, what Putin said yesterday, or what Channel 1 projected yesterday. But it's also important to see whether this narrative actually arrives with people, whether people buy it, and why they would buy it. So I think it's important to be able to dissect the enemy images that circulate on social media, and being able to see why people would actually believe in what they believe. You have to deconstruct the narrative. You need to see what are the buttons that are being pushed. So in my theoretical framework, I argue that the way to push those buttons is to scare the public. So you need to frame a certain issue as threatening to you, or as bearing an existential threat. And this is one of the most effective ways to make you do something. And a lot of messaging, political messaging, is actually based on securitization. It's based on framing something as an existential threat to a reference object. So it's important to be able to see that and try to scale back the narrative into the parts that it consists of. And mostly it's wrapped into a threat. It's wrapped into such a narrative that scares you to such an extent that you will be happy to forego your democratic rights, for example, in order to combat that threat. And the whole theoretical framework is about the fact that if the public is scared enough, it will be happy to accept Patriot Act, even though it's anti-constitutional. I'm trying also to make a normative statement that if you're scaring the public will most likely not pay attention to other factors that are at play as well. So what I'm trying to do is also to warn people against buying into all these threat narratives. A threat is only framed as such. And that's why you need to deconstruct why is it framed, and even if it's a threat at all.